Hi, everyone. We'll be getting started in just a second. We're just getting settled in. One more second. Thank you.
Jerry is. He's a good guy.
Mr. Chair, it is 5:31 PM. If you are ready to start the meeting.
Very good. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Good evening. Thank you everyone for being here. Can I get a call for roll call, please?
Absolutely. Member Piskovich,
Here.
Ross,
Here.
Shrimp,
Here.
Wager, absent this time. Warninghouse, can you hear us, Carla?
Yes,
Okay, all right, great. Member Warninghouse is here, Mr. Chair. You do have a quorum at the Ward One Neighborhood Advisory Board.
All right. Well, very good. Well, thank you very much. On the A2, public comment, do we have anybody registered for public comment?
We don't have anyone registered, and I do have a quick disclaimer before we move into public comment. Members of the public may hear, observe, and provide public comment virtually by registering through the following link, which can be found at reno.gov/meetings. And I do have to read the link again. It'll be the last month where it's a long link. Next month, it'll be a short
Okay,
link.
good. Yeah, I saw the other meetings. They had it figured out.
Yes, it'll be a short link. There was a
All right.
technical issue, but the link is https://us06web/us/web/REGISTR/WEB_REGISTR/N_, and capital H, capital Q, capital U, capital Y, TA3, capital Q, 76U, 71F, capital B, S, 57, capital L, R, capital A.
Job.
Thank you. At this time, Mr. Chair, there's no one in the room who'd like to give public comment. Is there anyone on Zoom who'd like to give public comment? Opening public comment. If you'd like to give public comment by Zoom, please use the raise hand button at the bottom of your Zoom window. Hey, Mr. Chair, we do have one person who'd like to give public comment.
Oh, wonderful. Okay.
Donna, can you hear us? It looks like you're unmuted, Donna, but we can't hear you. Donna, if you click on the little caret next to your mute button, you should be able to see a microphone or be able to select a microphone. Sure. No. You should be able to select a microphone, or you can call me at 775-297-9116, and I can put you on speaker.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what, if she calls in, then maybe we can come back to A2, is that?
Yeah,
Okay.
and there'll be opportunity for public comment on the item you're interested in, Donna, a little later in the agenda as well, okay?
All right, very good. All right, so hopefully we hear from Donna soon.
Oh, hold on.
Oh,
Hi, Donna. Okay,
Nope.
all right, hold on, I'm gonna put you on speaker. You'll have 3 minutes, okay?
Really need the 3 minutes. I just wanted to point out that I was hoping that there would be a presentation on item B3 about the ADUs and STRs. And Tyler told me earlier that there would not be, and that we would be directed to a survey, which I looked at. And, should there be city staff dealing with this, who's passing out cards? I'd like to ask questions of them at that time. And I just wanted to let you know that because, well, anyway, I looked at the survey, so it's not really very helpful. I was hoping there would be a presentation. And I'd like to ask questions on that topic if it rolls through, or even if it doesn't. Okay. Thank you. That's all I wanted at the beginning to let you know that.
Okay, Donna, if you're listening along in the meeting, you can call me again during item B3 to give your comments under that item, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Chair, I don't see anyone else who has indicated they'd like to give opening public comment.
Okay, all right. Well, Ms. Keith, thank you very much for your comments. We look forward to hearing from you again. So can I get a motion for approval of the agenda if there's no changes?
There are no changes, Mr. Chair.
First by Ms. Keith
And second,
and the second, all approved, say aye. Opposed? Okay. All right, okay, and A4 council liaison report.
Okay.
Hi, Jenny, are you defrosted?
Yeah, yeah. Happy New Year to everyone. Happy 2024. Hope everyone had a good end of 23 and the new year started well. Things have been pretty quiet for us. Council goes on break for about a month, so we don't have our first meeting of 24 until the 18th. And then we have one on the 25th. But it was also quiet because we didn't have a lot of storms over the holidays. So that makes everyone's workload at the city less, you know, even, you know, the constituent work that I do in my office with Tyler. So that was nice, but we're glad the storm for this weekend and, you know, the snowfall and water supply. So that's good. And I haven't heard anything, you know, any problems or anything in terms of winter preparedness and how things are looking. I did hear from staff that, when the federal rescue money came, for COVID, each council member got, I think, $70,000. And I earmarked my money for Oxbow Park because it's kind of a neglected area of, Ward 1, in a city facility. And I did get word that they finished some of their projects in terms of putting some benches in and picnic tables. And they also bought some equipment to kind of chew up the brush for paths and stuff, a couple, but that was before. So I'm looking to go out there and check out all that. Tyler's helping me follow up on the concern about the safety of the Hunter Lake. Oh, Tyler, what's that? The Hunter Lake, Mayberry intersection where that woman was hit, you know, walking with her child to, the Hunter Lake School. And we do have a request into Public Works on that. Yeah.
Jenny, I think when we had our last meeting, like that day, there was a fiery crash at that same intersection.
No, I think that
Where was it?
well, actually,
It might have been.
that intersection where there was the fiery crash
Uh-huh.
was on Plum Lane at Hunter Lake.
Oh,
This woman was
okay.
hit at Hunter Lake and Mayberry.
Oh, okay. so
Yeah,
it's the block.
but the Hunter Lake one,
Yeah,
which was kind of a mystery. And Tyler and I are putting in a request for that crash report. It's still under investigation. Met a lot of people who knew the woman who was a victim there. I think she got sent down to Davis and ended up having to get her arm amputated, 65% burns. There was not a fatality on that. But that's what we understand. The crash investigation is taking quite a bit of time. The other woman, we asked her to send us the crash investigation. And so we're spending time on those two, you know, and, you know, really trying to figure out what's going on. There was a great news investigative report by the New York Times looking into American pedestrian fatalities from 2009 on, and found out how much how a lot of the growth is at nighttime. And there's a great podcast that I listened to about a week ago on the LA Times, The Daily, or no, excuse me, the New York Times, the Daily, on these investigative reporters talking about the pedestrian crashes and what they found, why the American problem and where geographically it is located, and also the nighttime. And I think you can draw a lot about what's going on in Reno from that. So I would encourage people, if you're really interested in that, to listen to that. She doesn't talk about Reno. The real subject where a lot of the crashes and growth has been is Florida, but a lot of the same growth dynamics, and really sad. And ultimately the question is, are you going to prioritize speed over safety? And that's what's going on at Hunter Lake.
Yeah.
Is speed over safety. The other one was just very erratic under the influence behavior is what we've heard reported. But we really want to learn a lot from that. Or at least, we do, Tyler and I do. And we track in the office, Tyler and I do, how many homeless deaths we have each year, how many homicides we have each year, and how many major crashes we have each year. And we have it on a bulletin board, and sometimes we don't get a lot of participation assistance to keep it up to date. But at the year end, everyone has to provide their numbers. I understand the homeless, unhoused population was 135. It was a huge jump, probably the biggest jump there's been. The homicides, I don't know what those were, but they were running neck and neck with the pedestrians. But I think the pedestrians, or the road crashes, we call them road crashes, ended up being more. And we're trying to figure out how many of those there were. And then a lot of the homicides, I wish our officer was here. I think there was an uptick in domestic violence. So those are big numbers that every council member, elected official at the local government level, in my view, who's doing their job, it tracks. They're great benchmarks to track. I read about other people who track those. You might have heard recently that in the last week, the city of East Palo Alto, which was America's murder capital 20 years ago, had 0 homicides. It's in it's in the New York Times, it's in the LA Times, it's in the Chronicle. So these are benchmark numbers. They're not made up numbers that, Tyler and I want to, figure out. They are really good ones. And it took me a number of years to come to a point of having these as the metric. I wish the city had its own metric, but they're ones that I'm using in my office. And so that's that. And then council on the 17th will be doing one of our quarterly budget augmentations, which is where money's moved around. Have not been briefed on where we're doing revenues wise, how sales tax is coming in. We have a lot of obligations that have grown in the last couple of years. And then the city council is also being asked to enter into and move the ball forward on a new central fire station. We need a central fire station. It's third base, outfield approximately of the Aces Stadium that was sold by a prior council for that purpose. But I don't believe that we have the resources. I haven't seen any budgetary financing plan to show that we have the resources to do that when the city went to budget and debt on the police station that's really lagging, a lot of coast overruns, and then the pool. So, those are some of the hard things. You want in good times to be able to make those investments, but the council do not make those investments with COVID. They're going to debt, and it'll be interesting to see how they'll be able to the long-term finance plan on those. So that's all I have for people on what's going on in the council office. Is our officer here? No, he's not here. I received a really disturbing phone call in December from someone has businesses all over the country, and real estate businesses and facilities about some South Virginia Street, Grove, Yorrie area where they've opened up a trade school essentially. And they are just having terrible safety experiences there. So Tyler's looking into that, and it's associated with a motel next door, but also a vacant lot where I think one of our homicides on the Virginia Street corridor happened about November. We still haven't heard that one. Did we find out that? But that Yorrie, Grove, is always a tough place, but it's really seems to have escalated between the Pepper Mill and Brinkby, maybe Moana, actually, or Moana. just been a lot of activity on the Virginia Street corridor. And this person, you know, invested so much money, bought obsolete building that was a restaurant and turned it into a really good use, a trade school, and he's ready to close it and walk away from $3-4 million of investment. It's really a bad, when you hear something like that, it really hits home to you about how much we have to do to make certain neighborhoods do well in our community. And it's a great location, centrally located for a regional trade school. So
Where is
we're
it?
tracking that one. It's maybe the old famous Murphy's building.
Oh, okay.
I miss that place.
Yeah. And he's doing everything right, security, fencing, he's doing everything right. Of exercising his property ownership rights to and obligations to make that a safe place. But he just cannot succeed if he has the city not enforcing regulations to neighbors. And the disinvestment in the quarter of a vacant lot, and you know, our police is just so stretched so thin, so it's really a problem there.
Have they hired any more police?
We did budget. I don't know if we budgeted this last time for more officers. No, we might have all put a team on. But yeah,
Still not the 80, missing.
no, we're up to where, I think we're up to 2012 levels. We're up to pre-cut levels. Or maybe we're a little short. But we've done it, we've rebuilt. It's just the other obligations. That's why I've held the line on the debt.
Jenny, the homeless or unhoused death number being up, that includes the winter of 2023, is that right or not?
It's an annual count,
Okay, it's from when to when?
January to January.
Okay.
Yeah,
So then.
Yeah,
Okay, so.
yeah, and we found that, actually, someone, I think in the media told me that those numbers are the easiest to get.
Yeah,
And the homicide ones, actually, because you just go to the medical examiner, right? The medical examiner has it almost in real time.
Mhm.
Yeah,
okay,
the crash ones are the ones that we have the hardest time with.
yeah. I was wondering the kind of the why it would be up. So I'm trying to think in my own head whether it's right or not. Maybe the harsh winter last year. Why those numbers would be up. Can you provide any color?
Well,
insight, or-
I mean, you know, I think there is a growth in the homeless numbers.
Yeah.
Now, that contradicts information that's been reported, but
Yeah,
you know, quantitatively, I think, and perceptively, I think that's true. And then, you know, I wish our officer was here because, you know, the fentanyl is really, you know, how many were ODs? Someone, I think the Chronicle did a breakdown, really good breakdown of their homeless deaths. How many are OD, you know, they really broke it down, or.
no, I know there's
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
lot of nuance in how things are calculated and.
Yeah.
and how do you call it exposure or an OD, you know?
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that kind of
yeah.
thing.
I think, you know, maybe it was the Chronicle or maybe it was someone did a really good number. It might have been their fatality or traffic fatalities.
Okay.
But, yeah, so anyway, we'll keep posting on
So you're saying it's 175,000 deaths,
135,
35,000 deaths with homeless people?
no, 135
Yeah.
homeless people died. Yeah, and I think the year before it was like 119. They started having a ceremony one night a week in the cold, and I think the first year I went, there were in the 70s. So, yeah, it really did jump this year.
The other thing is you're talking about obligations for the coming debt. One thing that I think Reno did a good job on, and I hope that somebody helps them keep an eye on the ball, is funding the self-funded retirement funds that the city
Yeah.
started doing a good job on some time ago.
Yeah,
So,
they pulled off of that this last budget cycle,
Please.
and that was a reason why I did not, for the first time, I did not vote for the budget.
yeah,
So,
so as much as you can, please.
yeah, I do, but you know, because I came on in 2012 when we were in such bad shape and started to make all these policies, and this budget violated one of those policies, so that's why I did not vote for this fall.
Yeah,
There were a few other issues too.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, thank you for the report.
You bet.
Absolutely. All right. And it takes to A5, staff liaison report.
Tyler Shaw, Community Liaison for the record. I have a very short report for all of you. The next Ward One Neighborhood Advisory Board meeting is going to be on Monday, February 12th at 5:30 PM in this room, which for those of you on Zoom is at the McKinley Arts and Culture Center at 925 Riverside. That's my update, Mr. Chair.
Right, you're gonna make up the last meeting, I can see it.
And before we move on, I don't see our RPD officer. I've been caught up in an emergency. It's always a possibility that sometimes they can't come, but I did include the statistics that they sent over in all of your meeting packets.
Oh, we got it.
So feel free to review those, and then if you have any questions that you'd like to ask RPD, send them directly to me and I will forward them along to our officer.
Did they confirm they were coming?
They were added to the invite, but it's, you know, they're not coming on just for this, they're working, so if there's an emergency, they
Mhm.
often have to miss our meeting unfortunately,
Yeah.
but send me along your questions and I'll get them answered as much as I can.
Good. Okay, well, hopefully those show up, so thank you for including the information in the packet. Do we have any questions as a group or anything before we move on?
It looks like commercial bird feeds, not good.
Commercial what?
Bird feed, the first
Yeah,
one, I mean,
yeah.
that looks like it went up.
It does, it looks like it went up by 3 from last year.
Like, across the board, it's up. The only one that's not is vehicle burglary. Yeah, it would be really interesting to. Let's see, have we seen that in other wards? Ward 2, no. Ward 3, no. Ward
I wonder where it's coming from.
Ward 4 went up.
Areas
did not.
Ward one would be interesting.
If you, I'm sorry, what was that, Michael?
I was gonna say, it'd be interesting to figure out what areas of Ward one this was happening.
On the map, it's got the locations, so.
Yeah, I'm
Like-
looking at it, but it's kind of. Stolen vehicles look pretty big.
Mhm.
Lots going on in that
There's-
Dory Grove area.
Yeah,
It,
it's a little bit spread out.
I would go on to say, I mean, looking at all the wards except for 3. Yeah, 2's okay. I don't know, why is Ward 1 going up so much? It'll be interesting to see what happens when they redraw the lines.
Yeah, well, we're gonna work on these lines, from these lines until next
It's
January.
the end of 24.
So these are the lines.
Yeah, okay.
I wonder if it is the Grove area, Eli Grove area now. I don't know.
Well, the crime against people, persons, crosses the Virginia corridor as far north as, say, Monroe or something, or, Taylor.
But if you think of any specific questions, send them along to me and I'll get them answered.
Okay, thank you very much. All right.
Or we'll re-invite them to come next.
Yeah.
Let's re-invite them.
Of course.
All right, moves into B2 parking enforcement.
Yeah, well, we're gonna keep focusing on this. Tyler and I were pleased you guys want to keep talking about it. And, Tyler, you want to let them know what we've been working on?
Yeah, I put in a request for the information you guys asked for in the last meeting related to statistics, from our parking enforcement division, how often after someone puts in a complaint, does the vehicle get towed? How long does it take for the vehicle to get towed? And a couple others. They're still working on getting that data together, so I don't have that information today, but like Councilmember Breck has said, it's going to be an ongoing item for this board, so we'll be able to bring that back in the future. In the meantime, Councilmember Beckus and I have been working on an illegally parked car on Reno Avenue. And it's been parked there for quite a while, and there was some confusion about it because it had, markings on it that it was ready to be towed. Like it had already been noticed, but we couldn't find any record of it in our parking enforcement system. So after working with Reno Direct, we think it was noticed in another location and then submitted for tow, and someone illegally moved the car after and dumped it over on Reno Avenue. Which our parking enforcement officers would go by, see it was ready for tow. And it put a little wrinkle in the process, but Councilmember Beckus and I put it back into parking enforcement, let them know exactly what was going on, and the vehicle's been towed.
Yeah, so that was quite an interesting story, you know, to kind of, you know, we're doing a case study to kind of figure out with one car, you know, what was the problem? And we did figure it out. Did we figure out if it was a stolen car?
I don't know, I asked them if they had any other information about the car itself, I haven't heard back yet.
Yeah.
But the car is gone, I went and looked today.
Yeah, and I did too, but it was really odd because it was just sitting there for a while and, you know, I don't know if they, you know, someone should have gone there and found out it wasn't towed and reported it moved, you know, and then the system should be able to, with that VIN number, be able to show, you know, it should be able to, you know, populate up that car was moved and now it's a whole new account or a new complainant.
That's an interesting.
It was interesting. It was really interesting. And then we also, around Whiteford, did some ticketing going around?
Yeah, so in the Whiteford area, there was an issue with industrial trailers, like semi-trailers parking on the street legally. So our parking enforcement team went out and did some enforcement. They noticed, I think dozens of these trailers that were parked in the Whiteford area and got them moved off the street. And when they came back for the reinspection, there was only one that was still illegally parked, so it was towed.
Yeah,
So they did a little bit of work up in that area as well to get those parked where they're supposed to be.
yeah. And anecdotally, we believe that those violators, if you will, were really the business operators along in that area, you know, so they had a little, you know, they're a little congested in their yard, so they park them in the street. Well, they're not supposed to do that. And so then they just put them back into their property, you know, if if they keep doing it, you know, that's a problem. And maybe, you know, it would be something for staff to have conversations with the owners, you know, we're not gonna play this game all the time. And, you know, you put your business, I don't know if there's a tie in the code to put your business license at risk if you're a continual violator, because it is a moving violation, right? Tyler, it's a moving violation.
Yeah, it's because they were leaving them out there, and you're not supposed to park
Large rigs.
large rigs out anyways, or leave them for more than 48 hours,
Yeah,
and they were
both.
doing both.
Yeah,
So-
and then Tyler and I, along with some other folks, went up to the Air Guard quarters up in Stead in December and came back through Stead. And you think Whiteford problem, you should see the Stead area, which I've known for years because, you know, I have a familiarity with that area, but like there's a lot of those contractor yards, trucking terminal, pallet places. That area is just all peppered with, you know, vehicles too. And a lot of untethered, if you will, flatbed trailers too, which are kind of hard to see in the nighttime. So,
Yeah,
but anyway, that's that.
that says,
That's what we've been working on.
thank you. I have to say, driving through there, it looks better this week than it did last month. So,
Good. Well, we'll keep focusing on it. I don't know what's next on we'll get the information that's next. Yeah.
Is there anyone in the room who'd like to give public comment on this item? Is there anyone on Zoom who'd like to give public comment on this item? If you'd like to give public comment via Zoom, please use the raise hand button at the bottom of your Zoom window.
It's stupid.
Mr. Chair, I don't see anyone who'd like to give public comment on this item.
okay. All right, that moves into B3 ADUs and short term, presentation discussion.
Everyone.
Grace, actually, can you sit there? We have some microphone issues.
Yeah.
So my name's Grace. Mackin, I'm with Development Services and Planning. As Donna said, I don't have a presentation. In November, council initiated or initiated us to start looking to do a text amendment for ADUs. And as part of that, we realized that kind of short-term rentals have gone hand in hand with ADUs. So we got kind of some mixed feedback from council of the ADUs and short-term rentals, and for affordability in general. And so we're doing some affordable housing workshops this week with the community. And separate from that, we are starting an ADU and short-term rental survey. And it's kind of just our first, we have nothing drafted yet, but we thought we got some confusing feedback from council. So let's see what the community actually wants and thinks about these ADUs.
Survey that I,
There is,
Yeah,
that's
there's
what I'm talking about.
okay, I wasn't on it.
Yes, so that's what I was gonna say. As NAB members, we've sent emails to all of you. We should have, and if you're not getting emails, let me know or let Tyler know and I'll put you on. But we're just trying to get the word out there. We've had some good feedback so far. We issued the survey or published it last week and we've already had 130 respondents, which is good. And then as part of that, we'll map all of the responses and we'll say these people, like ADUs, these people don't. Here's the feedback that we're getting as to why or why not. And so I have some pamphlets with a QR code that you can scan, or if you want to take them to friends or neighbors or anyone else who would like to take the survey. Or you can send them the link. We're just trying to make it as accessible as possible so we get as much feedback as we can.
Yeah, appreciate it. I saw the survey, I filled it out. One of the questions that I have is, why do we call them ADUs instead of an unlicensed hotel? I'm
So-
sorry, not ADUs, short-term rentals.
Oh, short-term rentals. It's funny, as I've done some research, and actually some of the feedback we've gotten from the survey, that's one of the frustrations that I've noticed from some community members is, why are people staying in our communities? They should be staying in our hotels. That, then we get this room tax from hotel rooms, and then we have this kind of loophole in there for short-term rentals.
Yeah,
Definitely a concern. At this moment, we don't regulate short-term rentals, and so this survey was more of, should we regulate them and what are your concerns surrounding them?
yeah,
I think the trend from other communities is obviously they're a hindrance on affordability. And that's kind of why we wanted to tie it with this ADU survey and just see, is it time that we start looking to regulate these?
my 2 cents since you're here.
Yeah.
Is, the city council should utilize all levers of influence to improve housing affordability, within the city. There seems to be a general idea within the council that they're gonna build their way out of affordability pieces and, infill, and that is certainly one lever of influence that they have and we can use. ADUs is another lever. And as somebody who has actively participated and profited in helping somebody buy a duplex, kicking out the people who were paying the $700 a month rent, putting in people who are gonna pay $3,000 a month in short-term rental fees. Short-term rentals are also a problem.
Yeah.
Because you get 3 to 4 times the rent on a short-term rental than you do on a long-term standard rental. That's why they're so popular with investors. And as long as we don't tax that or regulate it, whether it's through a business fee, because they're generating revenue, it's a business. As long as that math is still mathing for them, like 3x, that's what's gonna keep happening.
Yeah, no, and it's a great point. And like I said, we've already gotten some survey respondents who have said that that's their main concern and frustration with them. So our plan is, I didn't mention this, we'll have the survey open until February, probably end of February. And then we would like to go back to council in March and just give them what the responses have been and what the feedback was.
Well, I think it's also a problem in the sense that, let's assume you have, I don't know, third of an acre, God knows what you have. It's not, the sewer is not put in for a second unit, the piping is not set in for a second unit. I mean, there's none of the infrastructure there, especially if it's an older area. And so to me, it's just like, you've gotta be kidding. And I don't know, I mean, nobody wants to have to redo their sewer and all of the other stuff. In fact, I can remember in my neighborhood, we had to redo the sewer and we all had to make sure that it went down from our house into wherever the sewer started again. Turned out my neighbor's across the street was in a gully, but that's okay. But what I'm saying is, it's not meant for more people. And that's part of the problem too, not just the rentals, but it's just the actual infrastructure.
Yeah, and that came up as definitely a concern. As part of if somebody were to put in an ADU, and I will note now, you could put in a guest quarters, which have a bathroom or 4 or 5 bathrooms. And it wouldn't trigger anything special. It wouldn't be considered an additional unit.
But that's why I'm saying that it's not meant for that. If you take these older neighborhoods, and I live in an older neighborhood.
And I guess we would review that at time of building permit, make sure they have sewer, they have to get a sewer will serve letter and a water will serve letter to build. But I think a bigger issue is maybe we should be looking at our infrastructure as a whole and keeping tabs on it, which is something that our regional planning agency is being tasked to do, and actually map our infrastructure and say, here's where we're at with capacity right now. Here's kind of how many more units we could take on. And then we can plan or actually start, planning accordingly so that we do have the infrastructure to support infill, because I think we need it, we're growing.
Well, we're gonna grow, but the problem is, we're not growing correctly.
Actually, household size in America has really
Gone down.
dropped. So you look at some of these neighborhoods and they likely have fewer people than they did 2 generations ago, just because household size has dropped. So they are depopulated, and yeah, you have aging infrastructure, but I'm questioning, you said when you introduced it, you said that ADUs and short-term rentals go hand in hand. What do you have to evidence that?
No,
What do you mean by that?
no, so one of the big concerns with ADUs that came up over and over again was, can they be rented out as short-term rentals? And then one of the concerns with affordability that came up was short-term rentals as well. So I don't know that, I do think that ADUs, a concern that we need to keep in mind is, are they rented out as short-term rentals? Is that something we regulate or prohibit? I don't know, but as part of this survey, when we were doing research on some other jurisdictions, sometimes they combine them, and we thought that would be a good idea.
Yeah,
Just for the survey, we wouldn't.
yeah,
Or
because,
ordinances together.
in my experience, the short-term rental issue is separate and apart, because I've heard from, condominium developments of units, and there's someone walked me through one right next to the pepper mill, that's all short-term rentals, where it used to be billed as pepper mill employee. And so it's entire units, they're just condominium units, and then lots of party houses in Ward 1. So it's separate and apart from short-term rentals. I think a lot of communities bring them in when they already have a short-term rental and have an ADU ordinance. We don't have either. And then with the ADUs, the council had an ordinance before them at one point, and how to the rental nature of that ADU ordinance was really a blocking point where the council decided not to move forward. And that was, does one of the owner of record have to live in one of them? But it wasn't short-term rentals, yeah. It was
Interesting.
more,
Well, 'cause
can investor own both,
Because the point of view that I see in the specific experiences that I've seen is, we call it the missing middle or the workforce housing. Those folks, whether the owner of the property is living there or not, if they're renting out the 3-1 and then build a little ADU in the back, whether they're renting that to, a student or a cab driver or whatever, who cares? It's workforce housing and it's gonna be more affordable, but that is separate. And I thought it was very interesting that the question in the survey says, do you do ADU if there's no STR? That was one of the questions, that was a good question. But the idea that you can, again, back to seeing how these people, seeing how the investor, at least the small investors would look at this, like, hey, if I spend this money, what's my ROI on this? And what does it do to my resale down the road? And if they're doing STRs, it's, the money just flows so much faster, particularly in a place like Reno. You know,
And
just,
ultimately, they do go very closely together, because I did notice that through our research that people get very tense when they think there's gonna be a short-term rental right next door. But I think you can start to get people more comfortable to say, no, you know, I think the surveys that California has done with how these ADUs have actually been done is their family members or their people,
Sure,
you know,
mother
visiting
quarter
or,
or
yeah,
something
or
like that.
caretaker. Something like that. And so that's why we wanted to try to make this survey so that we're saying, well, what if it's not to include short-term rentals, to see the actual population of people who are saying, well, maybe that's okay, or, you know, or maybe in certain neighborhoods, or maybe if there's certain restrictions. And then we can start to address what those concerns are that people have. And if they are short-term rentals, then maybe that is something we have to introduce soon or around the same time as the ADU ordinance. But we just wanted to make sure that we're not just saying yes or no on ADUs, no other context given, because I think there is so much context for both accessory dwelling units and short-term rentals that we need to, you know, break apart to get some good, honest feedback. And we've gotten some good stuff so far. But I'll leave some of these. I have them in Spanish as well. And then if you have any questions or you have issues, if you have any issues with the surveys or your friends have issues, I'll give you a couple and.
you wanna let everybody know about, this has your information from your meetings this week and next week?
No, so the affordable housing stuff, we're trying to keep a little separate because we
Okay.
know that
Don't wanna blow your
accessory
mind.
dwelling units, I don't want people to come there and think we're proposing accessory dwelling units, you know, this soon. Cause I think people are getting, I don't want them to think that and then show up and waste their time necessarily. But we do have 3 meetings this week. One is Wednesday at noon. And then Thursday at 5 p.m. and then the next Monday at 9 a.m. So they're all virtual, and I know you probably won't remember that, so just Tyler I can email him those meeting links, sorry. And would you like one?
Yeah.
Are there, Donna,
Perfect.
Donna,
this is what Donna wanted to
Yeah,
talk
Donna,
about, so.
Donna, go ahead, try. Looks like you're unmuted. We can't hear you, Donna, so why don't you go ahead and call me again? And again, it's 775
Talk through your.
297
Yeah.
9116. There she is. Great. Okay, Donna, you're on speaker. You're gonna have 3 minutes, okay?
Okay, thank you for that, actually talking about it. That's some things, I looked at the survey, and I think, that my gut reaction was that, in the absence of context, the results aren't really meaningful, because you're just saying, you know, do you want an ADU, do you want a short-term rental? There's no real definition of one versus the other, or no clarity on whether or not one or the other should be regulated. I mean, just to point out, it's already came up, ADUs already came up in 2000, 2006, and 2018. And the reason the planning commission voted it down in 2018, the ADU ordinance, was because they didn't think it conformed to the new master plan. So you should go back maybe and look at for the record for why it was denied by planning commission and by council in 2018, because that's pretty interesting to see. And you've got so much background on what the issues were, all that stuff. So you've got a lot of people who want to answer these surveys, but I was wondering really too how this ties into the suggestion from the housing consultant about neighborhood planning and outreach, and what I perceive to be direction from council to do neighborhood planning and outreach on these alternative housing, the things you're doing with the Title 18 that came out of the code update, as well as the ADUs and SDRs. And this to me, it doesn't constitute neighborhood outreach. It's just, you know, I sent that survey notice that you sent, I sent that to a handful of people I thought would be interested. Both of the ones I got about the but it doesn't qualify as neighborhood outreach, in my opinion. So you're gonna get certain answers from a select group of people, like, I could hammer all kinds of things in there if I wanted to. So I think I wanted to know how the neighborhood planning component of what council directed staff to do when they pursued these changes for affordability and for the ADU ordinance, how is that actually happening, and is this actually it? Because that was not clear to me, and I couldn't answer any questions about STRs because there's no context for me. Are you talking about 1 week? Are you talking about Airbnb, or if I rent my house for 6 months because I leave the country? What are we really talking about? And we know that there isn't a regulatory framework, because you have to have 4 units before a business license or any kind of regulation comes into play. So there's that. So, I know some cities like Portland have had success with grandfathering STRs into their ADU ordinance, like, okay, we can make your unit legal. But again, one board member said, it's not viable economically. People really do want to roll these things over, even ADUs. And I know people in Portland who are doing that with theirs, and in San Francisco area who are doing that with theirs. So it's a really complicated thing, and it leads me to wonder how you can answer a survey, how I can answer a survey when there's no context. Because as recently as 2018, these issues were hammered out. There are hundreds of public comment records online from 2018 of all the things that people were concerned about. And it got to the point, nothing under SF9 size should have ADUs on them. But that's not really what you're trying to do here. You're trying to get them into smaller areas. So it's really, I don't think this is, I just guess I wanted one about the neighborhood planning effort, because I don't think people know. 2, about the validity of a survey when there's no context. There's nothing written. You just go to the link page, so we don't know what the definition of terms are. What things are possibly being considered. I don't know. I hope you could hear me.
Yes.
Yeah, Donna, you're at your 3 minutes, so we're gonna let Grace respond to some of your questions.
Yes.
And then, you're on speaker, so we're gonna let her respond and then we'll move along, okay?
I'll
Okay,
try,
thank you.
Yeah,
yeah. Should I do it online or on the phone?
I think she just had it.
Okay.
So you should just be able to, she can hear us.
Okay, perfect. So I'll try to address all of those. There was a lot. So first of all, ADUs are explicitly mentioned in the master plan of something as a measurable that the city would like to adopt or pursue adoption. And that's in the most recent master plan update. As far as the neighborhood planning, that is kind of why we wanted to start, that is why we wanted to start with a survey. And the survey tool that we're using will actually map all of the responses. And then our hope is that we can start to maybe see some trends, but also we can go, okay, we're not getting any responses from the North Valleys. Maybe we need to do more outreach in the North Valleys because we're not getting participation. Or, maybe it's the Ward 1 area. We're not getting any responses from Ward 1. And why is that? And we'll come to the NAB and we'll say, we're not getting responses from your neighbors. So that's why we're coming to these NABs and we're saying, get the word out to any and all of your community members and your neighbors. So that we can get an accurate representation on a map, and we'll say, for some reason, this whole stretch of people says absolutely not. They do not want ADUs. Look at that, talk to these people and do that outreach. But this survey gives us kind of a good starting point to say, where is that happening or where are we not getting any responses, and target those areas to see what we can do to get more community input. The survey having no context, I apologize for that if you thought that. I think what we tried to do, we don't want to have any drafts yet because we don't want it to be something where we say, do you support this, yes or no? We want it to be more broad in general. We defined what an accessory dwelling unit is. We defined what a short-term rental typically is. And then as some of the concerns we listed that you might have with it, we said length of stay, parties and noise, parking, things that are, come up pretty often of concerns that we've heard. And then we also offered other where you could type your own concern or question. And then I gave my information if there were questions as well. So we tried to make it so it's more of a broad thing that would you ever be in support of something like this? And then we can hammer down what are the concerns and how can we write an ordinance that address kind of some of these bigger issues. But neighborhood planning, that's why we're starting with the NABs, try to hit all these neighborhoods. And then once we close the survey or get close to closing this survey, we'll look at kind of some of these areas that we're not getting responses or that we're seeing some trends. And then we'll go back to council in March and we'll say, here's what we're seeing. Would you like us to go forward and, write this ordinance? What would you like us to do? And try to just keep them in the loop as much as possible too. We're also doing a bunch of media outreach. We have some interviews scheduled with some media to make sure that we're, on the news, because I know some people maybe aren't on Facebook or social media. And then we will do a social media push as well. So anything else that you guys are saying when you're not hitting this, let me know, because I want to try to get an accurate survey. I think that was all her comments.
Yes.
Okay, is there anyone else on Zoom who'd like to give public comment on this item? If you'd like to give public comment on this item, please use the raise hand button at the bottom of your Zoom window. Mr. Chair, I don't see anyone who'd like to give public comment on this item.
Very good. Grace, thank you very much for coming
Thank
in
you all.
and spending the evening with us. Good luck on your survey. Hope you
Thank
get
you.
lots of results. All right, moves to B4. Keep Truck Meadows beautiful. I assume you match the shirt? Yeah.
Yes, if you could come sit in the
Thank you,
chair.
sir. All right.
All right. Thanks everybody for having us. My name is Matt Weber. I'm with KTNB, Keep Trucking Meadows Beautiful. For the most part, has everybody heard of us or know what we do? If not, I'll
I just took my tree.
give you a rundown, yeah. So KTNB stands for Keep Trucking Meadows Beautiful. We've been around since 1989. We're a local 501c3 nonprofit. We do environmental work in our community. In addition to the volunteering, which we're kind of most known for, we also do our recycling guide, as well as youth and adult education, sustainability, and things of that nature. We also have a green business program where we try and get businesses certified to practice green business practices. So I'm the volunteer and cleanups coordinator. So I'll talk to you a little bit about our community or our volunteer program. These are the main contributors and agencies that are involved in our program. It's primarily funded by Northern Nevada Public Health, formerly known as Washoe County Health District. And then we have 3 municipal partners, Reno, Washoe County, and Sparks. And in addition, we have a few federal as well as tribal and some GIDs as well too in Sun Valleys. So the program is volunteer driven. It was started in 1994 during the 90s when that kind of ownership and the Adopt a Spot program became popular. And it just gives an opportunity for residents and community members to give back by doing cleanups, making our region a more get a better place to live, work, and play. I've been with KTNB for about 5 years now. I was a volunteer for 5 years before, and I'm from Reno, so I remember doing this program actually when I was in high school, and it's kind of great to see it come full circle now that I'm actually running the whole thing too. Yeah, so just kind of more. So these are a variety of reasons why people choose to volunteer with us, and it is kind of a personal decision why they do it. But these are the biggest reasons that we get it. Most people that volunteer with us, they care about the Truckee Meadows. They want a clean and beautiful and safe region. They want to make a statement. A lot of churches and sororities and fraternities, university students, that's one of their reasons for doing it. We'll get anywhere from, we've had Summit Church and Grace Church bring out like hundreds of people, as well as the Greeks in the Streets from UNR. So that's one of their reasons. Clean air, safer, healthy environment for residents and wildlife, which is big. Also community service and community pride. That's one of the best things about what we do here. Better place to do business. We noticed that with our growth in the area, businesses are looking for good quality of life for relocating as well as their employees. We recognize our volunteers through signage as well as swag and parties, and just want to make sure they're taken care of. Community service credits, we work with TMCC Promise Scholarship, which is basically free community college for tuition. They just have to have a certain GPA certain mentoring, and then also 8 hours of community service, every 6 months. And so we help provide that, especially at the end of the year. The deadlines are June 31st and December 31st. So our Christmas tree recycling is big for that. And then the last one is fun and rewarding. I tend to think it's fun and rewarding. I'm one of the people who, I was one of those weird kids that picked up trash coming in from recess. I wanted to make sure that our playground and our, community is, better, because of what we do. So. Cool thing about the program too is that it really is all-inclusive. Anyone and everyone can participate. And here's just a sampling of the groups that we have that do it. We have even infants and children. One of the best things about my job is seeing families volunteer. I didn't get into volunteering until I was in my 30s. I feel like I kind of missed out. So one of the best things about my job is seeing families get out there with their kids and instilling that community pride as well as work ethic. And just the skills and the people that they meet. I think it's important, and that's one of the best parts of my job is that we make it all inclusive. And people ask, where do we clean? We focus primarily on public land. Private property, of course, is under the jurisdiction of the homeowner or the property owner, and that's referred to the jurisdiction's code enforcement. So we work on public land, and that includes parks, river sections of the river that are, the Tahoe Pyramid Bike Trail, business corridors, like anywhere that's roadways, neighborhoods, other open space areas. We work with our municipal partners to find areas that need cleanups or anything like that through some of our data analysis that we do as well too. So we want to give everybody the opportunity to give back on public land. People always ask what kind of projects will we do. Everyone kind of knows this for picking up litter, and that is a huge portion of what we do with our community's growth. But we also do other beautification projects as well. Spreading mulch has been a big one. We use the mulch that we get from our municipal partners, as well as Christmas tree recycling. Kind of around trees has been a big issue or a big focus recently. The tree wells, as well as areas that we can abate some of the weeds that have been growing last year's winter was crazy with weeds this year. So that was a major focus. So weeding, trimming vegetation, removing dog waste, handing over graffiti, as well as removing graffiti with our graffiti kits, sweeping pathways and courts. We also plant a lot of trees and flowers and native brush. Painting has been another big issue. We're painting a lot of restrooms, especially in the city of Reno. These restrooms have been vandalized a lot. And then reporting vandalism and unsafe conditions, and kind of the primary one of the main focuses of this program is to be the eyes and ears of the area. So we rely on the support of community members. So we'll get calls and I'll get emails all the time for stuff that needs to be taken care of, and I'll either get a volunteer group out there or refer it to whatever municipality. So like if it's if anything broken on a playground, that has to be certified through, they have to be certified to fix it. So we get the municipality involved, but we try our best to just, focus on whatever the municipal partner needs. And also still, I'll be driving around town and I'll see stuff that, I think needs to get done, and like pile mulch or weeds that need to be taken care of in any of our parks and areas. And we'll get groups out there to help with that too. So. Great thing about the program is it's all free. It's paid for by a grant from the Northern Nevada Public Health. Everything is included. So that includes the supplies, the litter pickers, the rakes, the shovels, any of that stuff that's necessary, staff time, coordinating it, any kind of publicity that we want to get, to help recruit volunteers. Disposal of the trash as well. We work with Waste Management and our municipal partners to make sure that's all taken care of. Pretty much all you have to do is just provide the volunteers, and we'll do our best to accommodate anyone and everyone who wants to do it. So I put enthusiastic volunteers in there because we get sometimes groups that there was a summer camp that lasted a few years ago. The kids were unruly and they wanted to punish the kids, and so they asked us for some stuff, and then, what's funny though is like, we ended up, they thought they were getting punished, but the kids, we ended up building part of a trail in Rancho San Rafael, and the kids actually loved it, and, so, like, so we got the last laugh when it came to that, so. So, yeah, enthusiastic, it's fine, we'll take anyone who wants to give back, so. So here's some of the impact numbers, through 2023, and these are updated through December of last year. And these are only the group cleanups. The next few slides will show you our community cleanups. So these are only the cleanups that, either adopt spot businesses or, people actually approached us to do cleanups. So there was 186 cleanups, a little over 4,700 volunteers. The volunteer hours was a little over 12,000. That's the number of volunteers multiplied by the hours that they worked. So like, just for sake of simplicity, 10 volunteers worked 3 hours, that'd be 30 hours for that particular project. So that's the cumulative. The 301,202 volunteer hours, that's the value. And the way we get that is by, there's a think tank based out of Washington, DC. It's like an industry standard, and they determine that for the state of Nevada, $26.18 is the cost that it would, for those volunteers. So we multiplied the 12,269 hours multiplied by the $26.18 to get that 321,000 number. That number goes up every year, just with, based off poverty, based off of analytics and whatnot. 136,157 pounds of trash, that's determined in addition to the yardage that we 250 yards or pounds per yard, and then bags are 20 pounds per bag. So that's how we got that number. We work in such high volumes that we estimate a lot. We're kind of working on a way that's an industry standard based on how municipal waste is calculated. We're kind of working on a way that we can maybe make that more accurate, but right now that's a good estimate. 71,000 pounds of green waste, that includes weeds, pine needles, any kind of like willows or anything like that, green waste, anything that was potential flammable that could cause fire hazards. 45 sharps and syringes, that's something we've always tolerated, but the Northern Nevada Public Health has really asked us to kind of take a more active role in that, because it has been increasing. And then the 160 flowers, trees, and plants as well too. So these are our 2 community events, and I won't give you the numbers, but we have 2 major community events. Those are open to the general public. And we have signups on our website. So our spring one this year was the end of April, kind of coincides with Earth Day. It's our great community cleanup, and you can see there was huge impact there. Just major amount of stuff, 1-day event. And then at the end of both of these community cleanups, we do we help, or we honor our volunteers with a barbecue, to let them know that they're appreciated. You see a lot of this probably on our on the internet as well as the local stations, because it's pretty impressive what we do. So, and then in fall we do our Truckee River cleanup. So the Great Community Cleanup is focused on just the entire region in general. It's like a spring cleanup. So we'll do open space cleanups as well, illegal dumping, and then the Truckee River cleanup when the water is lower. We'll work on the watershed, and you can see that these are major cleanups, and we've been doing these for I think the last 20 years. So great turnout and great impact as well. So the next few slides are just some pictures of the cleanups that happened in the fall. So ATO is a fraternity. They did a cleanup at Paradise Park. Paradise Park has been on our hot list for cleanups. It's just the size of the park, as well as the kind of straddling the jurisdictions, makes it one of our most cleanup prone parks. So yeah, this group been doing cleanups. Reno Phil did a cleanup at Virginia Lake in October, and this is their impact. Pulled some weeds at some of the planters kind of near the playground as well, made it look nice. A good group there. So. And then the Arena Sparks Convention and Visitors Authority, they actually adopt the park, this entire area right here. They have a sign as well, and so they do cleanups as well. So this was mostly just picking up leaves. There's a lot of trees around here, so they picked up a lot of leaves, and they've been a partner for quite a while too. So. Yeah, so just some of our upcoming programs. So our Christmas tree recycling, like you mentioned, that just ended yesterday. It'll be the same next year. It's a recurring event. And then we have April 27th is this year's Great Community Cleanup. We have bicentennial flower planting as well. We work at the Rotary Club at the Bicentennial Park, right up the river here, planting like 5,000 flowers.
Yeah, that really looks terrific.
Yeah, they do a great job. Yeah, it's really, that park, really pops when after the plants have been planted and everything
Amazing
too.
what
So
they've done.
yeah, and the Rotary Club, DB and the folks there have been great partners, and they do the entire Riverside Drive as well too, for great community cleanup. And yeah, they're great partners. And then next year's Truckee River cleanup for me, September 21st next year. So. Yeah, so I guess the thing I could leave you with is we are volunteer driven. So if you in your business or your church or anyone that you know is interested in volunteering with us and want to get out and do a cleanup. I work primarily with group cleanups, but we're also working on a program where we're going to give away litter pickers and kind of a litter picking kit so that people can do it individually. So people who can't organize, like they want to do it on their own, they can come to our office. There was a program called Clean and Safe. We worked with WCSO a few years ago in the library system where we gave out the litter pickers. We're trying to revive that program, but that requires, a grant and, kind of a repilot program for that. So yeah, if I could leave you with anything, it would be that you can, if you wanted to get out and you know anyone that's interested in volunteering in our community, we'll do our best to accommodate them in any way possible too. So. And then I'll be here the whole time, but if you're interested, I brought some swag. We have some bags and some stuff ready too. So just want to help you. We're doing these navs and cabs and the parks commissions just to get the word out and make sure that everyone knows that we're still doing awesome things in the community, and we appreciate you helping us out. So yeah. Cool. Any questions?
Great job.
Do you have anybody on the line?
Is there anyone on Zoom who'd like to give public comment on this item? If you'd like to give public comment via Zoom, please use the raise hand button at the bottom of your Zoom window. Mr. Chair, we have no public comment on this item.
Yes. I do have a question. Can you high level explain how Adopt a Spot works?
Yeah, so the Adopt a Spot program was started in 1994, and actually we're kind of in the process of reimagining the program. It's for the most part within the McCarran corridor, the parks and the areas that we currently have been already adopted. So we're kind of trying to create a more inclusive program. So we're kind of making a lot of changes in that regard, the actual Adopt a Spot program, because some of these groups have been doing for so long and kind of want to get groups coming in.
New opportunities.
Yeah, new opportunities.
Yeah.
People they see a sign and they say like, oh, that's maybe not, somebody else has already adopted it, and it might dissuade them from potentially doing something. So we're trying to create a program where, and it's definitely work in progress, where people can, that adopt the actual ownership, that, for lack of a better term, the ownership side of it is a little bit reduced in the sense that now the community is more involved.
Yeah.
The program, I've been here for 5 years. My initial title was Adopt a Spot Coordinator. My title now has changed to Volunteers and Cleanups Manager, just to kind of reflect that.
I'm thinking very selfishly of my neighborhood.
Yeah, and that's one of the things. That's one of the things that from my own perspective is I've seen people who, and not to real estate agents, sometimes they tend to they see this as an opportunity to market themselves. And that's not really the intent of the program. I understand that that's, people want to advertise their business, and that's, I'm completely fine with that, as long as, they're during the
that's
prerequisite.
separate and distinct.
Right, yeah, and so it's one of those things where like, you know, especially after the pandemic where people wanted to, you know, they wanted to get out, I admire that, but also at the same time, you know, there's requirements of the program, you wanna make sure that those are being upheld and.
So to adopt a spot, does it have to be a park or something like that already done?
Yeah, so technically it could be anywhere, based, you know, it's on public property that, is safe.
Okay.
So there's certain areas like, I know that the city of Sparks, they don't want people on Vista and Sparks Boulevard anymore.
Yeah.
So there are, some grandfathered groups that still do it. But they've actually put in, and they've taken down the signs as well too, the availability signs. Cause it's like a racetrack out there and they don't want to deal with that potential.
Yeah, that's
Right, so we focused on parks and river sections. My own opinion, I know that, roads, when you drive around roads, you see you see the litter, like off the top of my head, I know between Kitski, between Plum and Vassar.
yeah.
That's an area that definitely needs groups to clean it, and so I've been trying to get groups to do that, but it's a matter of what they feel comfortable doing as well as,
One place that I know that has a need that, I don't know, maybe you can talk to Megan about it, Megan Ebert, but Raleigh Heights.
Yeah.
On Virginia Street,
yeah,
there's a big open area over there.
yeah, North Valleys and Sun Valley I've been trying to hit those up, and I think that that's, you know, when it comes to like the cleanups, community cleanups are a good start there.
Yeah.
I know Raleigh Heights, yeah, it's, you know,
Yeah, cause
especially-
there's a big open area over there. I used to live right there. It's a big open area and it's got some nice trails and stuff like that. But people are always over there.
Yeah, we do a litter survey, and that's, where we actually drive around and we kind of see it's very observational, like our own,
Yeah,
we see litter.
yeah.
And we know that the North Valleys and, you know, Raleigh Heights area and Cold Springs, you know, that's one of our hit lists. Now it's just a matter of finding groups that want to do it. And so that's where my job comes in, where I train Mark, going to the different NABs and cabs and, you know, letting people know that these services are available. They're all free. And, you know, we couldn't do it without our volunteers. And so you can see that we do anywhere about 6,500 volunteers a year. That's one of the largest in the state of Nevada. That includes Las Vegas too. So we have a long tradition of doing this. And, you know, I for one, am very proud of what we've accomplished. But I think there's a lot of growth as well as the growth within the city.
I think you guys' work is wonderful.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
I'll be over there.
Literally. Okay, so wraps up B4, moves into B5, so welcome back. Gonna be a frequent flyer.
This is probably the last time for a little while.
Okay, I was gonna say, I think it's really kind of cool.
Yeah. I'm Melissa Havey, Management Assistant for Arts and Culture, and I'm gonna talk to you about a nomination to add Casa del Rey to the local Register of Historic Places. It's going to bring a Register of Historic Places. Casa del Rey is located at 990 Joaquin Miller Drive in the Newlands Manor subdivision in Ward 1. On February 8th, which is the next regularly scheduled Historical Resources Commission meeting, they will consider whether to approve a recommendation to add Casa del Rey to the City of Reno Register of Historic Places, be forwarded to City Council. Some notes about the history of Casa del Rey. It was constructed in 1930, and it is next door to Greystone Castle, which was recommended for designation on the local historic register in December, you may recall. It was built by E.C. Walters, who was associated with Nevada Developers Incorporated, which is the company owned by W.E. Barnard, who developed much of the Newlands Historic District during the 1930s, especially south of California Avenue. He is also the one responsible for Greystone Castle, which we talked about in December. Casa del Rey is considered to be a model home and is one of the earlier homes constructed in the Newlands Manor subdivision. Its architectural style is Spanish colonial revival, and specific features include the red clay barrel tile roof, the stucco exterior finish. The original casement windows are still in the building, capped with continuous wood lintels. hard to see in that newspaper clipping. But pretty distinctive. There's a rock wall fence in the rear of the property along Monroe, and the asymmetrical entryway arch with it has a double brick header. Also hard to see in the newspaper, but easier in the real photo. It's significant as a contributing resource to the Newlands National Historic District, which is significant for its association with Rena's community planning and development history, as well as for its architectural significance related to the elements of design, details, materials, and craftsmanship of the building. So the next steps, like I mentioned, are that the HRC will consider this item on February 8th, and then this item will come before the Reno City Council in the spring, following HRC, assuming they approve.
When does it go to the city council?
It will be scheduled after, if the HRC votes to recommend it, it'll be scheduled in the next city council meeting after that, so maybe late February or March.
Is it the same ownership as the Greystone?
Yes, this is owned by Tim and Nancy Gilbert, and
Yeah.
and they've been really active
No,
this
they're
year
really
getting their,
great.
they're very good.
Yeah. I think that's wonderful.
Yeah, I talked to them since, recently, and she told me this is their plan. So they've got the next one too.
Yeah.
Seeing no further questions from the board, is there anyone who'd like to give questions?
No.
Is there anyone who'd like to give public comment on this item? If you'd like to give public comment on this item, please use the raise hand button at the bottom of your Zoom window. Mr. Chair, we have no public comment on this item.
I think that's a great idea.
All right. On the E52, Grant Humphrey.
Okay, so Melissa Hapey again, Management Assistant for Arts and Culture, and I'm presenting the nomination for the Garrett Humphrey House to the City of Reno Register of Historic Places. Garrett Humphrey House is located at 655 South Arlington Avenue in the Marker Tract subdivision of Ward 1. This also will be considered at the February 8th HRC meeting to consider whether to approve a recommendation to add the Garrett Humphrey House to the City of Reno Register of Historic Places. Some details about the Garrett Humphrey House are that it was constructed sometime between 1906 and 1912. The exact date hasn't been ascertained. It was originally located in the UNR Gateway District, or what is also called the Evans North Addition at 127 East 8th Street, so south of UNR, just north of I-80. It operated as a guest house until it was purchased by the Humphrey family in 1917, and members of this family lived in the house until the early 2000s. It was purchased by UNR in 2008 and ultimately slated for demolition to make way for the university's expansion. At that time, it was purchased by a relative of the Humphrey family, which we know as Tim and Nancy Gilbert, and relocated to its present location in 2018. It's now located on South Arlington near Mount Rose Elementary School. The home is being recognized for its architectural significance. It's a rare local example of Asian influenced craftsman style. Some of the notable features include the flared roof eaves, stylized capital porch columns with stylized Asian capitals, the porthole windows on either side of the front door, and decorative brackets between the first floor and attic space. The next step is that it'll be considered for recommendation to go to City Council by the HRC on February 8th, and then following will be considered by City Council.
Yeah, I mean, I live around the corner, was there when they moved it on. It was quite a big deal, and I've been through it. And it looks a lot bigger, because Nancy excavated a basement. And so it is, see there, the ground level. And then here, see those windows, that she's got a full ceiling basement.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But it does still have the integrity, and it was just a remarkable thing that they did. They really are people who are adding to Reno's cultural life in tremendous ways, in very remarkable, and these designations help have value beyond that, so they're, you know, very admirable people. They've lost a few, they approached the city about the Sinai building at the university tore down over here. And the council took a pass on helping out, being a partner on that, but they continue to work with the
Well,
city.
they took it out away from them. It's now gonna be condos.
Yeah,
Sinai house
yeah,
went
well, it demolished, they had a timing issue and, yeah, it was unfortunate how it went down, but, they're charging ahead with their portfolio doing this.
I just have a general question for you. Has the, Lear Theater been considered to be on the historical, but is it on there?
It is, it's on the local and the state and the national, it's on all
Is
the,
anybody from the city doing anything to maintain that property?
Well, they know they need to,
I know they
and if
need
they
to.
aren't doing it, they're being made aware, because there are eyes on it. And I think right now they're bringing in the expertise. The expertise is being sought to help them take it to the next stage, because, you know, there's programming, but then there's also,
The other,
you know, the technical of how to do it right.
the other thing I was interested in, this house is literally across the street from McKinley, literally over here. And what
Yeah.
street is this?
Jones.
Jones.
Yeah.
Is that on? That's the very first ranch house in this area.
I'm not sure which one you're talking about, the two on the corner, the one on Keystone Corner and then one in, the two.
This one
brick
right over here on the east side. If you came down on the freeway, I mean,
And it is like kind of larger wood frame.
yeah, it's right here on the corner, literally across the street.
Is it the
Riverside
one
and
the
Jones.
Ridge,
or,
the
I'm
Ridge
sorry.
house, the Ridge company owns, or the?
No, I
It's a
think,
rich
I
one.
think that, Joan Arizabalaga owns the house, but it was literally the first ranch
Jones
house.
House
Oh,
is
Jones
on,
House.
is
Yeah.
on the local register.
Oh,
It's
that's
called the
wonderful.
Pearl Upson House.
Yeah, because that was literally the first ranch house in this area. And she has the whole history of that house, and I didn't know about it till I visited her one day, and
Yeah, yeah.
she's an artist by herself anyway, but she's a good artist too, but I didn't have any clue about that. And this whole area was one big, huge ranch farm. And that was the first house out here. In this
Wow.
area.
Well, these will give us, these ones with that one, the Lear, the two that just came on, we're getting up to 21.
That's a good question. Because Lake Mansion was added, so yeah, maybe 21.
That's great.
Yeah, maybe, because we lost 3.
We lost a
And
couple.
we
We lost
lost-
Mary Sherman House, Nystrom Guest House.
Yeah, so we lost them, so we're maybe now up above more than we've ever had.
I think it's important.
Yeah, that's good.
That's great.
Thank you for shepherding the process.
My pleasure.
Is there anyone in the public who'd like to give public comment on this item? Sorry, is there anyone on Zoom? If you'd like to give public comment on Zoom, please use the raise hand button at the bottom of your Zoom window. Mr. Chairman, we have no public comment on this item.
Okay, thank you very, very much for spending another evening with us. Okay. All right, moves into C, commission reports, announcements. Okay. I won't be at the next meeting, I'm on vacation. So you're gonna be responsible.
That's, what's the date of that? Is it February?
February 12th.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll
sounds
make it
good.
a point to be here.
Yeah,
Oh, brother, okay. Well, I'll be gone the month of April. That's the only time I'm done.
Okay, last year for April.
Okay. Then I'm here the rest of the year,
Yeah,
to my knowledge.
I'm pretty excited to be, in my mid-40s and going to a friend's wedding, so.
Yeah. that's it.
Yep, all right, so any other announcements, Carla?
no,
All right, just wanted to, ask you the question, like, you still awake? All right. Okay, any other future agenda items for anybody?
No, let's just get our officer back, I think.
Yeah, we
And
need-
we hope to have more information on the parking.
One thing that I would maybe like more information on is how do we focus Reno Fire, get on the list or whatever it is for their goat mitigation
Well,
program?
we had some this last,
Yeah, how do you get something on that list?
yeah, we can have them come, maybe we'll have them come when they do their quarterly on that.
I've seen Reno Fire here once.
Yeah, they've been a little flaky,
Yeah.
unfortunately. I don't know what's their focus.
So,
Cause they're supposed to come to all the nabs are supposed to be treated equally.
Yeah,
And are they going to their nabs quarterly?
I don't know. I don't think I saw them at Ward 2 for their last quarterly update, but
Okay.
I'll follow up with them.
Yeah, cause
And-
every nab is supposed to have the same amount of, resources. So rather than have them just come on the goats, maybe we could just have them when they come and give their quarterly, cause
no,
they're
it's-
due, yeah.
well, I mean, they're due, but I was also thinking, again, thinking about the wildland interface behind us, and they had somebody, I don't know if it was Reno Fire, somebody had the goats going over by the,
We're at High Common. The goats.
well, they had them right here by the water treatment plant.
Oh, did the treatment or the TMCC got it or Tumble got
Tumbled,
it?
I wanna call it tumbled.
Yeah.
But they were there like, oh, they're doing it right before they
Yeah.
build the road for the apartments, but anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah, if we could,
okay, yeah, they've done it twice in the Rosewood Canyons area, I know.
yeah,
And they've done it by,
I don't know, I saw it was really interesting, you look at it.
Rayleigh's in that area, when you go up McCarran.
Oh, have they up in Northwest?
No, I mean, it would be by Skyline in that area.
Yeah,
They've
that's
done
where
it, they've done it there 2 or 3
Yeah,
times.
yeah.
It's,
It's really cool. to
I
see.
hadn't, I've heard about it, but I drive by it frequently, so here's this, I don't know, acre or ish that they fenced off for these goats, and it's like, that's where the goats were, it's
Yeah, they really
really,
do a good
it's
job,
really
yeah,
impressive.
and I think the chief or the fire, what's the term of the person? Trey Palmer, what's his title?
Oh, is it battalion chief,
No, the marshal, fire
fire
marshal.
marshal?
I think there's one person at the fire department who has the assignment of,
Yeah, I'll reach out
it's
to.
like the
The goat.
prevention,
And the goats.
yeah, the prevention.
He's the goat.
Well, we've had the fires, I've had the.
Yeah.
No, they bring them from,
Yeah.
like
Police came
Carson,
and brought her
Garberville.
back, but.
Yeah.
You
No, I'm below, the McCarran and in between Skyline. It's kind of
Oh,
weird
gotcha. No,
that we get thrown out every time there's a fire.
yeah,
Yeah.
all right. Any other announcements?
Future agenda item.
Future, I'm sorry, future agenda items, thank you. Feel like a cat. Any other, going to D, any other public comment? Closing public
Opening
comment?
item E, closing public comment. I don't see anyone in the room who'd like to give public comment, but we do have one person on Zoom who's indicated they'd like to give public comment.
Okay.
Sue, please start by stating your full name for the record. You'll have 3 minutes whenever you're ready.
Hello, my name is Sue Zatterin. This is my first meeting that I've attended, and I'd just like to thank you all for your participation. I enjoyed the meeting. I learned some things. I do have one suggestion, on the Reno City website, if you placed a message on there about regarding the location of the Zoom link being on the agenda. I spent 15-20 minutes looking for the Zoom link. So that would just be nice to tell people where to go to find your link. And again, thank you very much.
Thank you for the feedback, Sue. I will make sure that gets updated.
That's reasonable.
Yeah. All right,
Is there anyone else who'd like to give public comment via Zoom? If you'd like to give public comment via Zoom, please use the raise hand button at the bottom of your Zoom window. Mr. Chair, I don't see anyone who would like to give closing public comment.
Can I get a motion for adjournment?
I'd like to motion to adjourn.
All right, and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
And we did.
Thank you, Carla.
Thank you, Carla.